Welcome back, everybody. Once again, this is the Continuity of Care Forum, the 7 Youth Inquest 2022. And next, we are going to hear from Stephanie Rich of the Matawa Education and Care Center and their 7 Youth Inquest response. Stephanie is an Ojibwe, French, and Scottish woman and a member of the Loon clan. Her First Nation is Long Lake 58, and she is from Thunder Bay, Ontario. She is a registered social worker, registered holistic nutritionalist, mental health first aid trainer, and an applied suicide intervention skills trainer. She has 12 years of experience, 12 years of professional, individual, and community-based professional social work experience working with Indigenous people, nonprofit organizations, and communities. Currently, she is the Youth Inquest Coordinator and the Matawa Safe Sobering Site Supervisor, focusing on implementing the recommendations from the 7 Youth Inquests for the Matawa Education and Care Center and the Matawa Tribal Council. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Rich.
Miigwech. Thank you, Sandy, for the nice introduction.
Take it away.
Thank you. So hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Like she said, my name is Stephanie Rich. I'm from the Loon clan. I am a social worker, and I've been with Matawa since the inquest was in progress. I was in a different role, but then shortly after the inquest concluded, I was asked if I could be the Youth Inquest Coordinator. And, you know, with deep thought, I accepted the position, and I've been, you know, Inquest has really been my life ever since. So what I'm sharing with you today is our response as a school community, the Matawa Education and Care Center, our response to the recommendations that we have from the 7 Youth Inquest, as well as the recommendations that we're working, you know, with our partners. Some of who, you know, have presented already. So you've got to learn a lot about our partners. So I'll share my screen right now and get the presentation going. All right, so I hope you can all see that. As you can see from the background, we have some Matawa students paddling the Kitchissippi, the Albany River. This is something that I'll talk about a little bit more as we go on, but at the bottom there, you can also see our Matawa communities. So let's go here. All right, so I really thought it was important just to start out with, you know, honoring the lives of the 7 youth and showing their picture just as a stark reminder of, you know, the history, you know, that has happened to our community in Thunder Bay, as well as, you know, our First Nations communities, just the result of, you know, I guess the point of this is that, you know, our aim is really to achieve the best results for our students, for our schools, as well as our communities. We basically, since the conclusion of the inquest, since, you know, day one after it concluded, our leadership has been working on implementing our recommendations. And that's something that really stuck with me because, like I said, I wasn't, you know, the inquest coordinator until a couple months after the inquest ended. But I know that leadership took this, obviously is taking this very seriously, and our school has gone through such an amazing transformation as a result, you know, of the 7 Youth Inquest. So we have a lot of people that we work with. So we still work with a lot of our partners to this very day. We work with, you know, obviously NAN, we work with KO and NEC, the Office of the Chief Coroner. We work with the, you know, all levels of government, Ontario, Canada, as well as the City of Thunder Bay. We also have done projects with the LCBO. Sorry, I have party program there, but it should be the TIPS program now, as well as, you know, NAPS and the Thunder Bay Police Service. This picture here, this is, a representation of us coming together to implement the recommendations. And I should mention, I forgot to mention in the very beginning where I'm coming to you from. I'm actually coming from my house. However, the Matawa Education and Care Center is open. We do have students in class right now. But I work in the Matawa Safe Sobering side. I'm the supervisor there. So in case we get a student, I didn't want to have to stop the presentation, so that's why I'm here at my house. So yeah, that's our Inquest partners. And I want to talk a little bit about, the Matawa Education and Care Center, because we have gone through such a rapid transformation that I think it's important that you know a little bit more about us. In order to understand, who we are as a people, where our youth are coming from, and just, learn about even where we're located in Thunder Bay. So this picture was taken, of one of our students performing a ceremony. And I've always loved this picture because to me it represents, how we are getting our youth back, in their culture, which ultimately is strengthening our youth. So here we have another one of our students who is, working with the hide. This is with one of our cultural programs. We take our students, hunting annually. So this is something that our students do on a regular basis, is to make sure, they are learning the teachings of, hunting and all the teachings that go with that, as well as, how to process, every part of the animal that they're fortunate to get. So I love this picture because, there's a smile on his face. He's doing, what his ancestors did. He's doing something that, gives him pride. And I think that's something we really try to instill in our students, is a sense of pride, being proud of being Ojibwe, OG Cree, or Cree, because that's where, that's what our communities are. We are innovative. When we first started, while the inquest was going on, we had, probably less than 20 people, working at what was then called, the Matawa Learning Center. We've just changed our name recently because we've expanded so much. Because we've got a lot of we've got a lot of programs and services which are extremely innovative, research supported, because we do have partners who are helping us, like the Critical Thinking Consortium, who is making sure that, everything that we're doing with our youth is supported by research. And, even research supported to us doesn't always come from, books, and it also comes from our elders who are actually in class with our students on a regular basis. We have 2 elders there every single day. We also have many knowledge keepers. So that's our research as well. We take that just as seriously as we take, modern day research as we more so know it today. Culturally based, that's one of our, strong suits. I find that there's culture everywhere. It's an indigenized space, right in the middle of Thunder Bay, which I think is very important, because our youth need to learn, in a good way that is traditional to, how they, are brought up. We need to continue that on when they come to Thunder Bay. That's part of that continuity of care, so they don't lose that culture. We ensure that that culture is available to them while they're in class. Holistic, that's something that's super important to us. We have a program and service that meets, the spiritual side of a youth, as well as, that mental, physical, and emotional side of the youth. We provide students from Matawa First Nation communities with an individualized approach to education with the support necessary to ensure success. Individualized approaches are very important to us. We want to make sure that every student is, every student has a care plan. Every student, is is talked to on a regular basis. You know, we don't want to have students just being ignored. It's very important, and it's set up within our policies and procedures to make sure that individualized approach is there. We're currently building a 100-bed care center within our school. It is, you know, I've seen it. It's complete in its infrastructure, and that's going to be opening up in September. So that's just another example of, you know, our innovation. We are going to be running a boarding home program then, you know, in September. We already have staff who are, you know, hired on as, you know, the manager of that program. So that's in the works right now. It's been in the works for years now. Obviously, we service Matawa students for ages 13 to 21. And our courses are offered daily. We have daily after school program, as well as 24/7 support for our students available too, which is super important because oftentimes, you know, obviously our students are coming from remote communities. They might not have parents here, so we need to act as that support for any after hours emergencies that happen. And I'll talk about those specific supports shortly here. A class structure that promotes thinking and experiential learning. Experiential learning, like I'm not a teacher, my background is not, you know, I'm not in the classroom ever, but I do run, you know, obviously the Safe Sobering site, and I'm involved in, you know, a lot of our recommendations. We had 24 recommendations directly to the Matawa Education and Care Center. So it's my job to, you know, help directly implement those recommendations or help staff implement them or just track the progress of those recommendations. Because this isn't, you know, I always say to the staff, like, this isn't just me. Like, we have a staff of almost, I don't even know the last count. I probably should have asked before I did this, but it seems like there's almost 100 people there now. That's, you know, what I last heard, or maybe it was like almost at 100, but everybody does Inquest. Not everybody knows that they're doing Inquest because it's so embedded within the program now that, you know, they think that's just the way it is, especially for new staff. But if they've been there, you know, like our leadership or myself, who's been there for a number of years, you could just see how big the program is going and how, like, you know, just the transformation that's going on is really amazing to watch. Flexible individual program with continuous enrollment. So we don't take students just in September, we take them whenever. So if they're, say you have a Matawa student who gets kicked out of school or something from a different program, they can come to our school, like, you know, middle of February, like whenever. We're always open for them. And we have learning that happens, you know, in our classroom directly. We also have remote learning. So we have an amazing distance education program, as well as, you know, combinations too. So that's where that individual approach comes from. So this is where we're located. We're at 200 Lily Street North. It was formerly the Grandview Lodge Retirement Home. So we were actually gifted the building by the city of Thunder Bay. And this is our location right beside the Friendship Gardens. So the Friendship Gardens are basically right beside us, and that's like our backyard, which is amazing. We got Delaney Arena right there. This is our, you know, building, and we've got St. Joseph's Care Group, which are partners, which are just down the road, as well as they also work, a number of their staff work right within our building. We have the Friendship Gardens, like I said. We got Delaney, which is hockey, track and field, and baseball. We also have Chapels, which provides soccer and golf, and we're also on a bus route. So it's actually a quite ideal location for us to be in. So one of the recommendations that I want to start with is honoring Jordan. So Jordan was, you know, our student who attended the Matawa Learning Center. And every single year, we honor graduating Matawa students who share Jordan's passion for outdoor education and athletics. So each year we have 6 memorial awards that are distributed. And then we're planning to do it again in June. So every year there's, you know, a graduation going on, we hold the awards. And we did this with Bernice, Jordan's grandma, as well as Beulah and Bernice, mom and grandma. So, we work with them, and we also travel up to Webequie. We haven't because of COVID, but hopefully this year we'll get back to Webequie, and we can help distribute them at Simon Jacob Memorial Education Center, as well as Keewatin Internet High School in Webequie. So we've given out, each award is $1,000. So it's quite significant for a young person. And the reason why it's in outdoor education and athletics is because obviously Jordan was an awesome hockey player, as well as there's, stories of him providing for his family by going hunting. And I remember a picture being shared with me by his grandma of him with a caribou that he had, got for his family. And I was like, wow, a caribou. I didn't even know they, went to Webequie, but they do. So I learned something new about Jordan, as well as, our community. So that was something special. And at the top of my presentation, you'll see I've got that IR number 6 Memorial Award. That's actually a specific inquest recommendation. So I'm not going to list the whole recommendation. It's quite wordy, but just so you know, that's recommendation number 6. And that was targeted, directed to us by the jury to do. And that's something we definitely do. Before a student leaves home for high school, we do outreach and engagement. So our staff regularly travel to our communities to provide grade 7 and 8s, as well as their parents and community members with information regarding our school, as well as community supports and opportunities that are available. And we also have a board of directors at MECC, and that is made up of all the members or all the education directors from the Matawa communities. So we work, regularly with them for our programs and services. So there's a grade 8 Reach Ahead credit. This is available to all our communities. And this is specific to grade 8s. It teaches them about transitioning into an urban center like Thunder Bay. It's got topics like culture shock and homesickness, being independent, using that public transportation, drug and alcohol abuse awareness, study skills, healthy habits. And the cool thing about this is that they get a high school credit. So before they even enter high school, they're already ahead by having a high school credit. So I thought that was pretty cool. So here is our students again, paddling on the Kitchissippi. And this is about, beginning high school at the Matawa Education and Care Center. What happens first? Students are assessed. This is through our partners at St. Joseph's Care Group. And this all came as a result of the 7 Youth Inquest. So all students get assessments in education, mental health, physical health, as well as alcohol and substance abuse, as well as a cultural evaluation. All that's, available to do. And they happen anytime the student is coming, into our school because of that continuous enrollment. And there's going to be an assessment specifically for the students coming into our care center as well. And this was something, new to us, because before the inquest, we didn't, do student assessments unless, maybe it was recommended by, someone outside or a parent or something. But now, every student, there's student assessments that happen. And that's because we now have the staff to do it, that are professionals. They're professional social workers. I'll show you the different staff we have with St. Joseph's Care Group when we get there. So these are our students. They are again doing ceremony. This is in on the Sleeping Giant. We utilize the cabins over there quite a bit for our students and do a lot of outdoor education there. So orientation, this is something that we do every single fall. We're kind of like We have all our ducks in a row now. Because we know that there's assessments, we know there's certain things we have to do in the beginning, and orientation is one of them. So orientation is important because students have the opportunity to be welcomed in a good way to our school. We participate, we invite other people to come and, do information booths. We have a lot of prizes, a lot of giveaways. We also do the NAN student orientation and the TIPS program at the beginning of each school year as well. And then for students who start late, we'll have staff who do the orientation, one-on-one with them. And this covers, a number of our recommendations. This is the TIPS program. This is a harm reduction program. It raises awareness about the risks associated with alcohol and substance misuse. We do that twice a year in September and January. And then we're also getting a portable kit actually in a couple weeks, which is going to be awesome because we got one for every single one of our communities, as well as our school. So this can be facilitated by any community member. And I think this is something that our board and said that this is really important. We need to educate our students on, alcohol and substance misuse, as well as harm reduction techniques. So this is very important to our community and, the parents, community members, leadership. So we're excited as a safe sobering site to be spearheading this for our community. So in school programs and services, our curriculum, I think this is really what makes, our school just so unique, is really our curriculum. I wish I went to a school like this myself when I was younger. You see here, this is, our outdoor, just outdoor education teacher teaching students, in the middle of, treaty number 9, how to navigate the, rivers and the waterways that are there. These are our academic supports. We have teachers, we have skilled trades and co-op, we have special education. That's new, that we never got funding for that before, but now we do, which is amazing. Land and cultural based teachers, language, additional education supports, as well as distance education. There's my student picture again. I love this one. Indigenizing our curriculum. So talked a little bit about this, but we have our partnership with the Critical Thinking Consortium. This is our outdoor education program. We have a really big building. It's huge. You can get lost in the building. Often new staff do. One of the cool places or cool things about our building is that we have the space to, build canoes and really have those spaces that are critical to teach our kids, in outdoor education, as well as other cultural teachings. So we have 6 outdoor education credits and then 2 credits during the summer canoe trip. So those students who participate in the summer canoe trip actually get credits for high school too. And more, obviously that's important, but to me, what's special about that is that, they're learning those traditional skills of navigating the waterways, and they're keeping that knowledge to be able to pass on our culture, as Ojibwe people. They can pass that on to the next generation. I think, we're always thinking about 7 generations ahead, and outdoor education really, that's to me, that's what really makes our school a school, is outdoor education. It's such a unique program. Follows the seasons. We have our elders and cultural workers involved in everything. We also have a mental health land-based coordinator that attends all the trips as well. In case anyone needs that kind of support, we make sure that's there as well. No matter where they go, they always have a mental health person there too. So this is the poster for, paddling the Kitchissippi. This one happened in, 2019. We just had another one last summer too. This one, they learn about, they have to do training in, whitewater safety, canoeing and that kind of stuff as well before they start. So we ensure that, everyone is safe doing it. We don't just send them off. There's instructors, numerous instructors that attend with them. We got our outdoor education teacher, a local guide. We always have a local guide from the communities, and as well as knowledge keepers, and then professional river guides too. So before they go, they got to learn canoeing, canoe rescues, swimming in rapids, and team roles. We also have a hockey program. So this is a credit where students participate for 125 hours with 75 hours of ice time and 50 hours of off ice time. It follows that Hockey Skills Academy. And I think we're the only we are the only secondary school in the region to actually offer this program. So this is pretty unique. And our kids we have some really good hockey players. They love hockey. So it's definitely something that's, really important for our school, is to offer this program. We have the Outside Looking In dance program. This is another Ministry of Education approved credit where students participate in regular dance classes and a culminating performance. So this is something, very new for us. We're not sure what stage we're at, but, this will definitely be offered soon. But this just shows you, this is how all these things take time to develop, to, implement. But it just shows that, we're constantly growing, and our leadership they support that growth. We don't want to be stagnant. We always want to, improve. How can we do things better? This is just, another example of us, raising the bar even more, because First Nations people were very creative. This is just the perfect program for our youth, and we know that this is a successful program in other parts of Canada as well. Co-op and skilled trades, we have that program. So basically, co-op program in the students' field of interest. They learn workplace health and safety. There's a lot of in-class components. Our skilled trades, as we have our own we have our own woodworking shop that's available at our school. It's got, all the tools. It looks like a regular tech shop you'd see in any other high school. And we've had a lot of cool programs come through that. The students are working on projects all the time. One of the things near and dear to my heart is when they made prefab dog houses and then shipped them up to the Matawa communities. And then the grade 8s actually assembled them and distributed them to community members. So I thought that was really cool, because I have a rescue dog. So, I just love that. Distance education, I talked a little bit about that. We have a virtual learning environment from the Ministry of Education, which is, fully set up, and it's currently teaching right now. We have 51 academic courses. There's, instruction that happens one-on-one live with the students. And I think one of the things Matawa is working on is getting broadband internet up to our communities. So this is only going to help strengthen this program, because right now, unfortunately, the internet is not that great in some of our communities. But once we have broadband, it's going to be awesome for this kind of distance education. It's just another resource, really, for provides more options for students and parents within community. Special education, we have new positions. They've been there for a while now. A special education coordinator, special education teachers, as well as education assistants. This is available to all students. And so when I say all students, I really should say all Matawa students, because I'm going to show you how we support our Matawa students going into other provincial high schools in Thunder Bay. So in-school support. So when students are, having crisis within their life, we do have a lot of supports available to them. Obviously, our administration, we have mental wellness, which is, our elders, our mental health coordinator, mental health worker, and trauma-informed care coordinator. That team is incredibly strong within our school, and everybody depends on them to, make sure that, students are, doing well. And they do a lot of work. They're there, they're up sometimes, all night long supporting students. So hats off to them. They're awesome. St. Joseph's Care Group, we have access to a psychologist, psychiatrist, family therapist, nurse practitioner, therapeutic, recreational, youth workers, mental health and addiction counselors, and they have a supervisor there. And we also even have a therapy dog, which is really cool. Guidance, we have, guidance counselor, achievement officer, transition coordinator, wellness systems navigator, education systems navigator. We have our student safety support coordinator. He's a really big help because his specific job is to, how I see it, is to look for gaps, to see, what's not working currently and how can we improve it? What do we need to do to make sure that we're, filling this gap within our program? So I think that that's really critical, because oftentimes, that's what leads to transformation, is accepting that, there might be gaps and we need to do something about it. So we actually have a position dedicated to ensuring that, we're filling those gaps with whatever programs or services or support that students need. We also have our student nutrition program coordinator and cook. So there's food all the time for our students. Elder programming, these are our elders. We have Sarah from Nishkaniga and Emily from Webequie, and they're just awesome. They're involved in the classroom. They're, that spiritual component is definitely there for our students through these women. They themselves have worked in mental health traditionally or formally as well, and oh, they're just great. They do traditional teachings. They show us, how to, and we're learning. I say us because I'm learning from them all the time. Like, as a staff member, I think it's important for me to, ensure that I try to learn as much skills and teachings and, knowledge. And they're really great at that. They're always cooking, and we actually have a dedicated space, which is this space that they're in. And that's a student space where students can come hang out. Maybe they're just not feeling it in the classroom that day. They can go hang out with the elders for, a little bit, or maybe it's just an hour and they feel better. But yeah, lots of activity in our elders room. We have cultural programming. You can see in the picture here. This is when we made our drum. We have a Matawa drum, Steve Atch. He's our drum keeper, and he just does a great job. He's just such a strong, leader within our school. And we have cultural sessions that are available to students twice a week, which focus on traditional medicines, teaching, and traditional crafts. I think it might even be more than this, because I probably should have updated that, because it is more, because they have taken on more responsibility, and they do a whole bunch of different teachings with our students. So they're also go on all those outdoor education trips as well, and provide, ceremony when we need to do that. Our mental wellness program, we have in-house counseling. We also have navigation, referral services, all those small group sessions. Wellness Wednesday, I actually just did a Wellness Wednesday where the students came into the Safe Sobering site this morning, and we were talking about, harm reduction techniques for alcohol and drugs, as well as just talking about the traditional medicines, because we gave, everybody a smudge kit. So we were talking about, that, and it was very powerful. Anytime we have the opportunity to teach our students about their culture, the better. This is our learning kitchen. It's part of our student nutrition program. Every day, students get breakfast and lunch and dinner 3 times a week. There's also dinner offered through other programs as well. talked a bit about our partnership before. These are just, you know, the professional supports that we have. And this partnership came out of the inquest, and they do a lot of work in helping us implement our recommendations. You can see from the top, there's 5 recommendations this program alone helps implement. And it's just a critical program for us to have that support. One of the reasons why is we actually get special fast-tracked access to the Sister Margaret Smith Center, which is a youth, you know, program for those struggling with addictions. So our students get to go in there, you know, faster than the general public because of our partnership with them. This is how we support our provincial students. So say, for example, we have a Matawa student, you know, from Webequie that attends Westgate. We can provide them with tutoring, student activities, cultural activities, on-call service, Matawa Safe Sobering Site, distance education, and they can participate in, you know, the summer canoe trip as well. And we also provide advisory services through our board of directors as well. So these are after school. So that was all in school. So that was more like 8:30 to 4:30. And then this is after. So student activities. Well, these are after school sports. We have a supervisor on call, cultural workers, our safe sobering site, and on-call service. So these are the after school activities. Our cultural workers take care of the after school activities. You know, I see them always crafting or drumming, bowling. We go bowling every week. We do movie nights, game nights, and invite special guests to come in as well. So like I said, we're going to be having a boarding home soon. We currently do not operate a boarding home because each one of our Matawa First Nations has their own boarding home. Through their, you know, community's education authority. So this is an example of what the boarding, you know, what the care center is going to look like. I think there's multiple different rooms. Some are smaller than others based on student needs. But that's just one example of, you know, what it is going to look like. And it'll be opening up in September. This is our on-call service. So this was here in existence before Inquest. It was one of the, you know, only services to exist prior to the 7 Youth Inquest. And it's a real critical service. They provide overnight support. They provide safe transportation. It helps to keep intoxicated students out of the police station or hospital, unless that's required, by transporting them to the safe sobering site. And then, you know, ensure students in need of medical care taken to the hospital and monitoring high-risk areas. So this is the safe sobering site. You could see one of our beds there. We got 4 bedrooms there, and it's like a little house basically attached. It's attached to our school, and it's voluntary. And it provides supervised short-term stabilization. So we assess them when they first come in, make sure they're okay, you know, to be there. If they're too intoxicated, we will, you know, support them to go, obviously call 911 and make sure, you know, they get support to go to the hospital. So basically we take students who are walking, talking, cooperative, and injury-free. For the most part, we have been able to service, you know, all the intoxicated, like the majority of intoxicated students that have come to the site. And there's a lot of benefits to that because it's one-on-one. It's a culturally appropriate care because the majority of our workers are from the Matawa communities themselves, which is important because, you know, we're providing, you know, role models that come from their communities. Many of them have a lived experience, you know, with addictions, and they've also have a lived experience of overcoming that and, you know, living a good life now and being there for our youth. So it prevents our, you know, any youth from sobering up in the jail or hospital where they might be, you know, exposed to, you know, things like racism or discrimination. It prevents that because they can sober up here in our safe sobering site. We're open 24/7 during the school calendar, and we also we're able to obviously tell like who's coming there more often. And, you know, for the students that are showing up regularly, we can then make sure that they're, you know, fast tracked into treatment if that's what they choose. We also provide harm reduction supplies and information. So we're always teaching about low risk drinking guidelines. We're giving out naloxone kits. We give out, you know, safer snorting kits, safer crack smoking kits. Luckily, our students are not into, I've noticed that we don't have too many people getting the, you know, more of like the, say, the safe injection kits. Thankfully, they're not there, but we still, you know, we might have some students who need those services. So we have it there for them. Because, you know, we know with harm reduction, that's how we reduce harms like, you know, hepatitis C, HIV, you know, death. That's why we have this program. So returning home, that was some of our in-school supports. But say if we have a student returning home, how do we support them? We support them through our partnership with the St. Joseph's Care Group. It allows the student care plan to continue on, like just because they're not within our building anymore does not mean they're no longer our student. They're still our student, and we still support them through in-person sessions or telemedicine for virtual sessions. We also work with their education authority, so their on-call workers or, you know, education directors. We work with parents to ensure that the student, you know, gets set up to our distance education program when they're ready to learn from in community. We also have teachers available to support them. So yeah, that was it in a nutshell about the continuity of care. But this is actually a real, you know, this is a full-time job in itself, because generally, you know, when students are going back early, that means the student is not really, you know, in a good place sometimes, not all the time, but they really do still need that support. And that's what we provide. Staff and student training, this is important for us. We have a lot of staff training that we do, especially during COVID. We focused a lot of that on training our staff. We do annual sessions, so every year we do this training, obviously individual training, just all the training here. And one cool thing is that we actually have in-house trainers. So I myself am a mental health first aid trainer. I can also train applied suicide intervention skills training. And, you know, those are important trainings because, as we know, we're going through a lot, especially our youth. There's a lot of mental health issues that people are going through. And I think the more that we can empower, you know, our staff, and this isn't just for staff too, like this is available to our communities as well. And hopefully soon we can go back into our communities and provide this session in person. So we have, you know, first aid, a whole bunch of different trainers actually working within our organization. Student training, for instance, today I talked a little bit about doing student training, but we also invite a lot of guests to come in and do training with our student. We obviously do our mental health first aid, assist, safe talk, we do the tips program, harm reduction, naloxone, and, you know, et cetera. We do a lot of different training with the students. And that's from recommendation 83. That's directly from the inquest, something that we didn't do as much before, but after the inquest, all of this came as a result of the recommendations from the 7 Youth Inquest. Public education campaigns, this is where I work with, you know, the city of Thunder Bay, and as well as, you know, we work with NAN, we work with, you know, CoC, NAC, we all work together. So behind the scenes, you know, we're having a lot of meetings, there's a lot of working groups, there's like 12 plus working groups where partners are coming together to implement, you know, recommendations like this. So this one is the Dear Thunder Bay social media campaign. So this one, you know, look out for it. It's going to launch. Actually, you know, it's just around the corner. It's a really cool campaign, and just look out for that one. The students actually had a chance to directly be involved with that campaign by, anonymously sharing their thoughts and feelings about, life in the city. So we're hoping that, we raise awareness of what life is like for First Nation students who have to come, from remote communities and then come here and, live and go to school in Thunder Bay. Public education on runners, this is something we did with the LCBO, just raising awareness about, other people purchasing alcohol for younger people. Another public education campaign on hate crimes. Pretty soon we're going to be purchasing, these items. We've already released, this on social media, but this is something that we can keep releasing to try to combat, hate crimes within our city. Missing persons, we have a recommendation 91 working group. This is something that was really we really helped transform our program in a lot of different ways, because we, we did the Thunder Bay Police Service consent to release student information form that was developed, and it's now in use by schools. So that allows us to know if our students are, in jail. And before, we didn't know that. Before, we would still be searching for our students for days and days. But now we know in real time where they're at, so we can support them in real time. Again, this is the Am I Missing campaign. This was awesome, spearheaded by NAN, and we helped it as well. They had their translator translate it into different dialects, which are within Matawa. We shared it within our page. And unfortunately, more work is needed, especially within our communities. But overall, there has been an impact. The jury's recommendations align with the education model of the Matawa Education and Care Center. There has been an increase in funding. We have a lot of additional staff and programs. And there's been an increase in partnerships. Overall, the inquest recommendations have led to school improvements in education, student support, student health, and student safety. So that's huge for us. Obviously, our community, there is recommendations from the inquest that target specifically our Matawa First Nations. So within the First Nations level, where our students are coming from, the 7 Youth Inquest recommendations calls for the Government of Canada to address the following areas in each Matawa community. Some improvements are in place. Like I talked about, Matawa getting that broadband. Like that's an example of, a project that is, it's a recommendation being implemented. And there's a lot more work being done that are positive, but we know that there is still some gaps that need to be fixed within the communities, like increasing programs and services to eliminate education gaps. On reserve education, we believe, there should be early childhood, elementary, secondary, and adult education within communities. Funding needs, living conditions, health issues, youth substance abuse on reserves, just all these things, need to be improved, and that comes from recommendation 7. So as you can see, like Nisquanega First Nation, that's one of our communities. Obviously, they're still under boil water advisory. So this is just an example of, a gap that needs to be eliminated within our community, because we can, educate them and, teach them about their culture, have an awesome program within, for the high school students, but, no elementary student should be, not have access to clean water. So I think there's still a little bit more work to be done to improve those gaps, but I hope we get there, and we can get there through, education and implementing all the recommendations. So that's my presentation. I want to thank you all for, listening. And I'm wondering if anyone, has any questions for me or comments.
Oh, we have comments, definitely. Stephanie, I just got to say, wow. And I think that kind of echoes a lot of the comments. I guess I assumed the Matawa Care Center or Education and Care Center was doing great work. I had no flipping clue how much amazing work you were doing. I do have one question. I know when the building was in the process of being gifted to you, or they were doing that whole debate, of course, we had people in the area. Do we really want this or whatever? Do they know about this? Like, this needs to get out to the general public kind of thing.
I think, well, some of them definitely do, because I remember one day driving to work when we first opened, and one of the neighbors had a sign that said, you know, welcome Matawa students. And that's an example of, you know, the community accepting us. And, you know, regardless, even if they don't accept it, we're going to stay and we're going to be there for a long time.
I've just a personal observation. I've heard the word holistic thrown around for years. This just seemed like such a wonderful example of that, like holistic in practice, not just in vision or in word, but in actual practice. So way to go. Way to go. So we have some comments here. Joyce Spence just said, wow, I told you. Excellent opportunities for the youth to venture in, right? JL Chung says, just love the way Matawa provides support and community care to youth, students, and community. Right? Like, oh my God, James Wilkinson, and we know he's with the Indigenous Relations Office. Awesome, and congrats, Matawa. Keep up the good work. Wow. Wow, like, just not only are you doing an amazing job, but what an amazing example for other people to learn from, right? I think sometimes we're guilty of not dreaming big enough, right? Assuming we're not going to be able to get the funding or the building or whatever. And yeah, just absolutely amazing. So are you still sharing your screen?
Oh, yes,
I don't
still sharing. I will take it off.
Okay, awesome. I just got a little note. Yes.
Okay,
Awesome.
how do I take it off again?
If you go right up to the top, I think there's.
Oh, here we go. Or wait. Oh,
did it work?
I don't know.
It is done. It is
it
done.
Oh, okay,
done.
Good. Someone just cut me off. Good, because I don't know how to do it. Okay, I'm glad.
Well, I know the tech team does know how to do it, so maybe they decided to save you. That's absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
So did we have any other questions? This is your chance to type them into chat. I am just like totally blown away. I just,
yeah, no,
so
like you said, it's from the leadership, you know, really strives for the best for our students. And
yeah,
it's because of them and all the staff coming together.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, so you're with the Safe Sobering site. So I love like everything you said, just because of the support aspect, right? Like, it's not in jail or in the hospital. I'm saying they don't get care there, but they don't get loving care, right? They don't get the care from someone who actually cares about them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? I know the nurses care, but so if a youth, one of your students comes into the Safe Sobering site, how long would they average be there?
On average, we service students for about usually 10 hours. You know, if they're coming, usually they'll come, you know, late at night or late at night and they stay till the morning. Sometimes, usually they're gone, you know, late morning, because teenagers, they like to sleep in, right? But yeah, we have access, they have access to like new clothing if they needed. Like, it's a little home, so they could shower. There's emergency clothing, there's, you know, personal care products that we just supply, all of those things. Even emergency clothing, you don't have to just be in the Safe Sobering site to have access to that. We have a lot of students, you know, obviously living, they're very at risk. We have a lot of students living in poverty, so we can provide winter jackets for everybody, and you know, that makes a huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah, it's definitely huge. It might not seem like much to some, but when you don't have that, it makes all the difference.
Yeah. Do your students live in boarding homes as well?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
students who live here in Thunder Bay with their parents, but the majority of our students are coming from the remote, remote communities within Matawa. So they are living in, boarding home programs that are run by their education authority. So we have students
Oh,
coming
that's
from,
right.
remote communities like Nishkadiga, Nebanamic, Webequay, Martin Falls. We have students from all even the non-remote Matawa First Nations. We do have some students from there as well. So they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So Don Williams has a comment. Really well done. Thanks for this excellent presentation and sharing Matawa's initiatives. This is encouraging and inspiring. And that's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Don. Inspiring, absolutely inspiring. So thank you so much for your presentation, Stephanie. Super appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Such a well-kept secret. You got to change that.
Yeah, well, we're new.
I'm going to be watching for that social media campaign, like Dear Thunder Bay, was it? Hashtag
Yeah.
Dear Thunder Bay. I
Dear Thunder
love that idea. Oh, very good. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Miigwech.
For the participants, we're going to have a play to win code for you here coming up. And there it is. Youth. I think you can remember that one, right? Okay, make sure to go enter that in the play to win tab because we're coming down to the end here. It's going to be draw time. You want to do that. And one of the things you had to do was fill in your evaluation. Make sure you do that as well. We are taking a short break. We're going to come back at 4:30 for closing comments and to wrap this up in a good way. And of course, to do the draws. So you're going to want to be here. See you soon.